Can you define the clientele you're expecting here at W Marbella, and are you aware of what state you're going to be when you're coming home to the hotel late at night?
Yes, of course. I guess the clients that I'm going to have to deal with are uh, party people who are probably coming very drunk, and I will have to deal with not very easy situations, but that's fine. I'm used to it.
When you go out with friends, if you do you usually take care of everyone, or what is usually your role within your friends group late at night?
Well, when I go out with friends, normally we don't have roles, but it's true that I'm always the one who's driving back home. I don't know why, but they trust me. Maybe that means that I have a role of a driver. Well, what is true is that I normally am the one who's taking care of the most drunk friends, making sure they drink water before they go to bed, bringing them if they need to the bed and whatever. I'm there for them, you know, and because I know they are going to be there for me if I need them.
So, have you ever worked in a nightlife establishment? And if so, do you have some not so great stories that you can tell us about and how you dealt with the situation?
Yes, I did. When I was younger, I worked in an Irish pub till very late at night, and I remember one night that one client was getting super drunk, and he kind of tried to have something with me, being too close all the time, trying to get behind the bar with me, and it was a difficult situation for me. So thankfully, the manager of the establishment was there, and what he did was just to kick that person out of the pub. So yeah, I couldn't kick him out myself because I was not the head boss, but yes, the manager did, and that was like one of the most difficult situations I had in. If I am the night auditor, if I see someone being harassed, I'm going to do exactly the same as my manager did, because I want my employees and my clients, the rest of my clients who are not being like that person, to feel good and have a go.
Also, do you have any experience where you had to deal with a lot of cash, a lot of money?
Yes, working as a head waiter in another establishment, I always had to close the POS and handle with money, and of course, and also for my personal life, it's not an issue to handle money for me. And I never had any problems. The money was always right at the end of the shift, and yeah.
Do you consider yourself a very organized person? Are you good with organization? And do you have an example for me?
I consider myself a very organized person. I always try to get all the work done before the deadlines. I'm obsessed with the idea that you never know what is going to happen in the future, and I feel better with myself if I do my job earlier. Yeah, I remember myself a long time ago when I was studying in Erasmus Bella. We had to do an HR project, and I had a trip to Morocco the following week, and the deadline was on Sunday. So I asked my partner if we could manage to do all the project a week in anticipation, so we have no problems to the deadline time to give the project.
Are you more of a self-sufficient person or more of a team player, combination of both? How do you see yourself?
I am a self-sufficient person, but I also really like to work in a team. But I know that as a night auditor, I'm going to be by myself, and as I have no problems handling with my own my own work, it's going to be fine, I guess. Yeah, my actual situation is that I'm independent, so I don't have issues with the family, so it's fine.
Also, are you interested in nightlife? Do you keep up to date with what is happening, what is popular, what is new? Can you tell me about that a little bit, please?
Yes, I do. I do love nightlife. I've party a lot here in Marbella, Olivia Valer, Playa Padre, Puerto Banús, and you probably know that they are opening now a new club called Papaya. It's probably going to be a very nice place to go out.
And also, lastly, do you consider yourself a caring person? And can you give me an example?
Yes, I do. What I can say, for example, last week, Mona, a friend of mine, was having like kind of a throat pain, and I just woke up from my bed and I prepare a tea with honey for her and I bring her to the bed. I don't know, that's how it's supposed to be. No, you take care of your friends and then they take care of you. Can you tell me a situation where you had to decide to either retain or fire someone based on a mistake they made?
Yes, in a previous company I worked for, in their HR department, there was this situation in-house where one of our senior employees, he was very rude in front of guests to one of our managers. Like, he called him a bad word. And after that, yeah, of course, we had to consider, do we keep that person around? Is he good for the organization? Or do we just cut ties? So what our process was to first have a meeting with all the HR people and the manager present. And then we also had a meeting with the employee that was involved and the union representative, because he was unionized. So we had those two conversations, and then based on those two conversations, we had to, of course, make a decision. Do we keep that person? Is he important enough to warrant that kind of behavior? So what our idea was to pretty much, we suspended him for a week without pay, pretty much as a punishment. And then we decided, however, that he is very important to us. So we got him back and he agreed to come back after that 1 week. And actually after that, everything was much better. He was nicer to everyone and he worked very hard, and the relationship was just generally better after.
What kind of skills and characteristics are you looking for when you're hiring people for W Marbella?
So I'm very much of the belief that skills and knowledge are not quite as important as how you act, what is your character, what is your disposition, because all the skills in the world, pretty much we can teach them to you. So if you're maybe not so good at using an Opera operating system, or you're not so good at carrying 3 plates in your hands, we can teach you that. But what is much more difficult to get ingrained into people's brains is how they think and how they treat other people, what is their character. So that is what I really want to focus on. Like, I want someone that is personally very professional, but at the same time can let loose enough, since we are here with W, so they have to be able to identify with the brand and have that balance between fun and play and still doing the professional hospitality way. So that is what I would very much focus on instead of the actual skills.
What is your response to abuse within the company between employees? Can you give a previous example?
So in the housekeeping department of the last hotel I worked at, there was quite a bit of friction because the assistant manager of the department, she was very young, and because of that, most of the ladies that worked in the department, they didn't really respect her because they didn't really think that she deserved the position. So I noticed that she was obviously not feeling very good about the situation. So the plan was kind of, first of all, of course, to talk to her, like, well, how does she feel about the situation? And after that, of course, she said that, yeah, she was not happy with the situation. So the idea was to kind of help her along to gain the respect of the ladies. So what we did pretty much was we created new procedures on how to more efficiently check rooms, like after they were cleaned. And we implemented that new system, and she got full credit for the system. And all the employees from the department, they really liked the new system. They thought it was more efficient and better, and it was very smart. So after that, the ladies realized that she isn't just a young person who doesn't have much experience or skills, but she is a very a good, I guess, tool, you could say. She's helpful, and so that way she was able to gain the respect of the ladies, and everything was running smoother between the people after that.
What is your personal recruitment strategy, Mr. Brunner?
For me, I'm a kind of split between do I like it more internal or external, because I feel like both of them have very many good qualities, and it also very much depends on the position. For me personally, the idea of being able to rise through a company is very appealing to me, and I think it is appealing for many people. So if we have someone available in the company to fill a role from within, I will always try to do this, because at one point it saves a lot of money, it saves time, and we don't have to readjust someone to our climate. However, at the same time, I think you have to have a balance between internal and external, because when you hire people externally, we get a lot of new great ideas, things that we have not thought of yet. So that way we get more change, I guess, in the company, positive change, and fresh ideas that in the long run will help us, I guess, more than if we only keep on with the people that we already have, even though we know they are good. And lastly, I am very much focused on hiring the best person compared to what our job description is, and not just comparing people to each other and seeing who is better. So even if we have two people and one of them is better than the others, doesn't mean I want to hire them, because they might not actually fulfill all the characteristics that we have set aside for the job. And also, I am not a big fan of nepotism, so even though maybe someone has a friend and we really need someone, just because they have a friend is not really a good idea, in my opinion, to hire them anyway, unless of course they do fulfill our characteristics, in which situation I think it is okay, because it's also good for motivation to work with people you like. And like I said, if they are filling the characteristics, that is even better.
And the last question, why do you think the human resources is so important to the hospitality industry?
Well, pretty obviously, the hospitality industry is so people focused, not just in an employee to employee, an employee to manager and boss kind of situation, but of course also our employees to the guests. So the focus on having people skills is so heavy, and whenever you have so much interaction between people, you ultimately will have conflict. And without like someone that is professional at resolving those conflicts, there's gonna be a ton of issues, people are gonna fight with each other, there's gonna be tension in the room, and not only is that bad for the climate within the company, but the guests will notice that. And when guests notice that there's not a good mood in the company, their stay will be affected, and they will probably write a bad review that people were fighting with each other. And lastly, and maybe the most important part for the company, for you, is the service profit chain. So as we know, of course, that if we provide the best interior service that is starting from the HR to make people happy, we will make our employees happy, which they will then in turn for us, because they're motivated, they're happy, they will make our guests happier, which then leads to our guests' loyalty and capturing their long-term values with returning guests, and of course in the end that will mean more money for the company. So